We got ourselves Team 1 together with Aloniana. The Aloniana? Is this Alonia from Live? As a Feral Druid? That set looks so good, by the way. That Primalist Druid set on Night Elf looks great. I don't think I've seen a recolor like that. Johnny Bravo making a return this evening. We've got Colsham in the back together with Magix and Var as well. Johnny Bravo gonna be first up versus Team Evoker with Last Voker gonna be first up. We got ourselves a big freeze of the last. Gonna be a trinket interrupted to Johnny Bravo does have himself a knockback. It's gonna be Last Voker disrupted. A bit of an opener by Johnny trying to go for that Kyrian Spark. Massive damage to Johnny. Johnny does recover all that health. Wait, how did Johnny recover all that health? Was that just the greatest ult time in the world? Last almost just one-shot that guy with a single one-shot wombo combo. What was that? Got himself a big setup for Johnny. Johnny with a Nova as he goes in for the Cone of Cold Nova. Last going for a bit of a self-heal. Ring of Frost around the corner, but Last is going to try to see if he can maybe get out of there, using the hover to boost himself out of that circle. Breath at Last after big burst. Kyrian Radiant Spark, knocking it back, avoiding being frozen. Might be able to play defensively here. Try to get himself a bit of a heal. Using mobility to catch up, but Johnny does slam him down with a big execute at the end. Oh my goodness, with Anhao gonna be up next. Try to see if he can spear down Johnny, but Johnny does have either an ultra time or a blink for that one to be able to escape it a little early. But Johnny taking a lot of damage. Anhao just blasting about mad damage out of that the Odin's Fury ability. The artifact weapon from Legion. Johnny somehow recovering all that health though. I'm surprised. So the first one must have been a blink, the second one must have been an ultra time, and Anhao taking a bit of that damage as a gnome warrior. Trying to see if he might be able to get around Johnny, looking for a bit of a leap, line side, trying to get himself some cover as Johnny pushing in, trying to see if he can potentially get himself another victory here. Anhao does hold on to a trinket, so for Johnny, it's going to be down to like try to see if he can get a trinket out of him and then try to have a go. That's going to be Johnny with the Meteor in the opener, Radiant Spark right after, try to see if he can pressure Anhao. It's going to go for a breath, immediately going to be a reflect. Anhao does get frozen. That's going to be a storm bolt on Johnny. Johnny trying to see if he can continue blasting around. Mad damage. Anhao does close the gap with Enrage Regeneration, hoping to potentially recover health. Johnny does have an ult time ahead of time, and it looks like he's going to be able to ult time back in. Anhao going in for a trinket. I'm not really sure what he was trying to trinket. Tried to trinket maybe a root or a slow? Potentially, possibly. I'm not really sure. That or maybe a misclick. Anhao is under a ton of pressure. Kind of lowish on health. Trying to get a little bit of recovery versus Johnny. Does himself second win. So as long as he's able to get out of combat, he's able to start recovering health little by little. Johnny does go for a blink to get out of the storm bolt. Has Anhao in a good spot. Just got to lag it around a little bit. He's going to be a reflect out for Anhao. Does get him some recovery and a CC onto Johnny, which does give him a pretty good setup into a spear. Johnny can't really go anywhere unless he got a blink. Try to go for a polymorph onto Anhao. Does not have anything at the moment. Ring of Frost, gonna be Johnny going for another go. Big setup potentially. Trying to see if he can go for another search. He's gonna try to go knock back on Anhao, but looks like it's gonna be a little bit messed up. I think that was a reflect by Anhao. Mad damage to Johnny. Does blink out of that storm bolt. It's gonna be reflect up or still defensives up for Anhao. Big damage burst onto Johnny, bleeding him out. Johnny could potentially be in a bit of trouble. Johnny with the opener, trying to go for big arcade surge. Gonna be reflect up for Anhao. Looks like it's gonna be Kyrian potentially reflected back to Johnny. I think maybe potential still on Anhao. Could be big damage. Does he go down? Try to see if he can get a charge. That's gonna root on Johnny for a second. Trying to go for some damage to his own Stormbolt, and Johnny does get a full blink. And that's gonna be Anhao. Got himself a big defensive with Enrage Regeneration. Trying to see if maybe that gives him survivability here. But he's just gonna get absolutely blasted out by his missiles. Shivering, he's quaking in his boots at the prospects of Johnny potentially being able to one-shot him. Does avoid the Nova. I don't even know how he avoids the slow. Johnny pushing in, trying to go for big executes. Does he get it? No health available for Anhao. The barrage is take him out, I believe. Oh my goodness. And the Arcane Mage is just dominated right now. I am a dragon. Gonna be up next. These guys aren't jittering, as you guys can see. Or they're jittering a little bit. Maybe as soon as somebody gets hit with a slow, they start to jitter. Ray Dragon trying to see if he can maybe get himself a setup. Going for a potential interrupter. Johnny does get hit with a poly. Has a trick in case he needs, so it's going to be Big Richie coming down with a Radiant Spark. Dragon gets hit with a freeze with a Radiant Blast. That's going to be big blaster damage out of him. Dragon trying to see if he can back up out of there. Looking for a self-heal. That's going to be movement while casting uninterruptible. Looking for the full recovery. Blasted out Johnny. Trying to go for a full breath. I don't know if he was able to get a full proper breath in there. Or that, or if he was just missed it. Maybe Johnny just got a decided in the last second. Dragon hoping for a bit of recovery. Johnny picking up the eye by accident. Breath onto the Evokers. Johnny goes in for a poly. Doesn't look like he has a go. Looks like he's just gonna go for yet another polymorph. Maybe go for a setup. A little bit delaying his burst. It's gonna have a knockback on Dragon, but it is gonna be a little bit of DR. Potentially Johnny has some damage available. Gonna be Dragon getting locked out on Frosty spells, but still has access to red. It's going to be a big Dragon's Roar onto Johnny. Has a blink for it, so now Johnny's limited on mobility. So if Dragon has anything right there for this setup versus Johnny, he could be in a good spot, but then Invis lets Johnny kind of skulk around him and reposition. And Johnny does get himself at least a setup. Is going to go for Arcade Surge. He's trying to go for range damage. Does he have the setup right now versus Dragon? Trying to see if he can maybe drop him down with a big Meteor. With the missiles to follow. Disintegrate out of the Dragon. Get a locked out. Gotta try to put Johnny to sleep. But Johnny somehow was able to dodge it. Or maybe no. Interrupted the sleep. Gonna be blaster damage onto the Dragon with a... Oh my god. Wait. At the end of the day, Johnny had this. I feel like Johnny just took that guy from 80 to 0 in just 2 globals. That was actually so much setup where Johnny had this much damage at the ready. It's gonna be As de Nazathan. Oh my goodness, I'll call it Zathan. Zathan gonna be up next. Trying to go for a setup versus Johnny, shrinking it out, but he's frozen out. Johnny could potentially make it a big play off of that one. Zathan pushing in with a big disintegrate, getting a lot of procs. Johnny does have all the time. Zathan backing up out of the trying to go for a bit of a self-heal. Johnny trying to put some pressure in, trying to get him low enough where the barrages add that execute bonus. Quick poly onto Zathan. With the Ring of Frost, probably has himself a big setup. Zathan no longer has a trick, so it's going to be a Meteor. Radiant Spark does get himself frozen. Knocked back. The freeze no longer works. Does Zathan have anything for it? Johnny might just have a Radiant Barrage. Oh my god! Johnny Appleseed just blasting these boys out. 4-0 so far for this Arcane Mage. Gonna be Bone Breaker with a big spear. Johnny trying to see if he can bail out of it. Looks like maybe in a bit of trouble. Is finally able to get free of the Shackle Stormbolt onto Johnny. Is gonna go for an Ice Block. Bone Breaker. Does he have himself a way to break out of the Ice Block? He doesn't break into Shattering Throw. Wait for Johnny. This is a full recovery. Oh no, I feel like whenever you see a Mage in the enemy team or a Paladin, you have to expect it to shatter. Gonna be Bone trying to go for double charges on Johnny. Has himself Stormbolt, double charges, plenty of ability to stay on Johnny Bravo. As the Mage is looking to reposition, does get himself a full invis around the corner. Johnny under a ton of pressure. Bone looking to potentially take him out. All the time up for Johnny. That's his one last bastion of defense. Looking for that invisibility. Does he still have all the time? Looks like Johnny may be kind of in a bad spot. If he gets AoE'd out by Bone, it could be in a tight situation. Bone does not have a trinket. Wait for Johnny. Does he just go for it? If Bone messes up any part of your burst, this could be really bad for you. Bone does get frozen. Knocked back by Johnny. Charges back in. Looking for that execute. Bone is going to go for a big leap. Johnny trinket, but at the end, Bone is going to be able to take him down. Trying to go for a Cannibalize at the very end. Landing that execute. Did burn in Rage Regeneration maybe a little early with magic. It's going to be around the corner as a Shadow Priest. Kind of hanging out next to Bone. Big barrages. Does get him horrified with the Mind Games. Nothing he can do. And that was Johnny boy. With a quick, I think, 4-1, right? Johnny with 4 kills, boys. I guess all of these evokers. And a warrior. By the way, Fury looking like kind of strong this week, huh? Last week, I think, if anyone wanted to see it, was all the arms warriors.